What's good? What's good? What's good? Listen, y'all know we trying to get this thing right and don't mind my background. It's crazy. But listen, it's your boy. Let me just move this green screen right on out the way because it didn't work. So y'all get to see my workstation today. But listen, what a week. What a week we had in the SIAC. I mean, we got whooped. And we got whooped real bad. Oh, they say I sound static. Let me see if I can change that. What about now? It just sound better now. I bet. Bet. So listen, man. I'm disappointed. I'm gonna be honest. I'm disappointed. I expected more from the SIAC. I expected a lot more from the SIAC. We literally got beat down. And we got beat down in every way. And I really thought the beat downs was gonna come this week. Not Saturday. I understand the Virginia Union and Kentucky State. I think everybody expected that, even though I went on these shows and I was capping for Kentucky State. I really thought Kentucky State was going to look a lot better than that. They didn't. If you would have told me Virginia Union would have put 69 points up on Kentucky State, I would have said no. You would have said 40, yes. A run first team put 69 points on you. I think them boys need to rethink some things up there in Frankfurt. It was bad. It was bad. Then on top of that, man, mess around. You get Benedict, Virginia State. I felt like Virginia State was going to get that. That game was matched together in the mindset that Chennis Berry was going to still be at Virginia State. But we didn't get that. But I will say, out of the games that we lost, I was okay with the Benedict loss. I don't know what I expected Benedict to look like, but hey, to me, they're going to be a competitive team, especially on the back end of the season. And that's one of the things that I had kept saying about whether Kentucky State was going to, not Kentucky State, whether Benedict was going to look, because he got some experienced players in. So there's that. Then you had Central State that played Thursday. I felt like Central State looked good. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Central State looked good. That defense for Central State, man, they were all right. They were all right. I think that defense is going to keep Central State in the game. I think they rode the win with Booney. I feel like, they won't get hit with size so much, deeper in the conference. But Central State, look, okay. I might have to reconsider them after looking at the holistic, look of the conference. Central State got a shot. Central State, they have a shot. I'm going to be honest with you. So I was impressed. If I had to say, take away a good loss, Central State. Albany State and Valdosta State, man. Listen. What on God's... Let me say this. Albany State played Valdosta State close last season, right? It was a competitive game. I felt like Valdosta State was going to take a step forward, okay? But I also was expecting Albany State to take a step forward. So if I'm the most disappointed, I think I'm the most disappointed in Albany State. I feel like Albany State let us down. I wanted that game to be competitive. I wasn't sure if they could get the win, but I felt like that they haven't made the SIAC championship game this year. Last year, Coach Quentin Gray getting a recruiting cycle, getting his guys in, implementing his system. I expected a little bit more from Albany State. So they were my biggest disappointment. That rounds me around to Tuskegee. Tuskegee showed up on Sunday, and I don't know. I don't know about Tuskegee. Tuskegee is my big question mark. They look like a team that can contend. But they play, I feel like we're better on defense. I will say we're better on defense than we were last season. Offense, I got some questions. But I feel like they're talented enough. I feel like our running backs are too talented to only get 50 yards on the ground against John C. Smith. Now, that's no disrespect to John C. Smith. I think they have a really good defense. I feel like that front seven for John C. Smith, that linebacker Black, I can't think of the other one's name. I feel like, hey, them boys, they get to it. They get after it. But I don't think Tuskegee put that line together that they put together to not be able to run the ball. I can't see that. And that's one of the things that Coach James talked about in his coaching show, and we'll get into that later. Miles, they look good, but I'm disappointed in that kicking game. Like, that was Miles' game to win. That game was Miles' game to win. And I got a special guest. I got the Goliath Slayer himself, the man that put Miles over the top with us tonight. And I'm going to bring him up. But I got to go down a little rabbit hole for a second as I bring my first guest up. Edwin Klienpeter Jr., the Goliath Slayer himself. What's up, man?
What's good? Appreciate you for having me.
Man, no, this has been a long time coming, dog. I go back to late summer last year when I first saw them post that you had signed with Miles, and you instantly put me in the mind of Bruce Eugene when I first saw him. And I said, be honest, I was like, wait a minute, what the hell Miles doing down there, dog? Because I was tired of Ski losing to Miles. And so I was like, wait a minute. I don't know what Sam Shade trying to pull. And then y'all came and did what y'all did to us. But, we'll talk about that later. But good to have you on the show.
Good to be here. I appreciate you for having me.
So, listen, this week in the SIAC is basically the SIAC versus the SWAC. It is what some would call the bloodbath week. Now, there are some schools that historically have competed well with the SWAC, Tuskegee being one. Miles, normally plays well against Bama State. Last year, you went on the road. You took on Bama State. You got Miles over the hump. Miles had been right there last couple of seasons, but just could never get over the hump. Just tell us about that experience and kind of like your mindset and approaching that game.
Well, going into that week, Coach Said always, like, we sat down and spoke before we practiced, and he was just like, hey, I understand we're playing Bama State, they're D1, but they're a team that can be beat. And he was just telling me the whole week at practice like it's the game. And going into it, me and Jake, we always had a special connection anyway. So if we can get rocking from start to finish, we was gonna get it done. And we also had a a solid old line and a solid running back in Gennaro Scott too. So that's really where going into that game, we wanted to beat them by running the ball because we knew we can run the ball well. And that's exactly how we ended up running like 60 plays on offense. So I say it was really a lot going into it. I had to do extra film study, um, going into it, and then going into the game. It's a lot of people that I've never played in front of a lot. It was like 10,000 people at the game, so that played a big part. And trying to keep my teammates up during the whole game, it was definitely an emotional roller coaster, especially after the pick six that they caught on. I think it was like the second drive, and then we had a lot of penalties going on, and I think we had a few bad snaps, but we moving the ball against Bama State wasn't a problem. We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot a lot. But they were definitely a solid team, and Miles, I feel like Miles can pull it off again this year. I want to see more consistency coming from Cam, the quarterback Cam Ivory, which I know he can do it. It's just this is really his first year starting, honestly, because he was my backup last year, and even it was some games where I couldn't get it done, and he came in and shined. So I think he'll pull it off.
Yeah, so I came to the game, and I remember the pick six, and the first thing that I put in the group chat for the SIAC talk, I told them guys that I felt like Miles was winning up front. Now, you talking about a Bama State team that everybody had just put so much hype up about their front seven, their front seven, their front seven. I felt like after I saw the first drive, I said, if Miles can be consistent enough, they can pull this game out. I think the pick six is what gave them any kind of spark of life because the way it was going at first, I felt like y'all were just about to manhandle them, to be honest with you. And that pick six, I forgot the player name that caught it. He ended up transferring out. But I felt like after that, I wanted to see how y'all responded, right? I felt like y'all came back out in the second half and handled business and pulled it out. I mean, even down to the last second, I was texting the guys. I was like, I really think Miles gonna get it. Yeah, Adrian Maddox, right? Um, Now I'm gonna get into some. You can feel free to comment about this, but I'm gonna get back more into the game. But it's something that bothered me today, and this off script. I'm gonna tell you this is why I never wanted to show dog because sometimes I get pissed off. I get pissed off when we get to talking about these SIAC and SWAC games. So it's been a lot of little conversation on a lot of conversation on how much these games should be worth. Now, the year before you got there, Miles went to Bama State in Shade's first year. They went down there, played them really close. But they lost two quarterbacks in that game. They lost two quarterbacks. I think they lost a couple of offensive linemen. And even every time I hear Coach Shade talking, he talks about, the impact of playing those FCS teams. Any other coach in the SIAC, they'll tell you. We had Coach Keaton on Sunday night. Coach Keaton was like, those type games can kind of alter your season. I even heard Jackson State coach talk today about losing two running backs after playing the FBS school. And when we get to talking about money games, a guy on Twitter told me that $25,000 to play one of those games was enough. And I thought he had lost his damn mind because $25,000 is not enough to almost put your season at risk, especially those SIC championship contending teams. For $25,000, that's chump change. So I said, let me Google and see. What's the going rate? Last year, Ferris State, everybody know Ferris State from being a Division II powerhouse. They played Montana, which is a FCS powerhouse. The guarantee was $175,000 for that game. And it pissed me off when I looked to see what some of these SIAC schools were getting. Lane went to A&M. Lane went to A&M and got blanked. Now, mind you, I feel like A&M Lane had some good moments. They put up 330 some yards passing. I felt like, that was a good mark. But you take your band and you take your football team on the road to get beat up by A&M for $35,000. For 35, I mean, you spent that to take the band and the football team. It's just, that's, to me, that is insane. And if I'm an AD, I'm not moving to go play no FCS for under $100,000. I'm not doing it. It's not gonna happen because we can create $35,000 by playing other Division II schools. Lane don't have to pack up on a bus to go to no A&M to possibly get beat down for no $35,000. That, to me, that's insane, and I feel like we shouldn't put our players in that type of predicament, and especially when some of the programs that don't even fund their schools, that don't even fund their scholarships. I think Coach Brown said he got 18 scholarships spread it out over 90 some players. 18 scholarships, and you going up against somebody with what, 63 with 18. It's not an issue of whether or not talent. I think Lane has talent. I think they have talent at the skill position, but it's that depth on the offensive line. It's the depth on the defensive line. And to me, that's trash, and we should do better. And our AD should be ashamed to never take that. I would never take that. And
Yeah,
all of them.
I definitely agree. Smaller schools should be paid more to play those bigger schools. Like, say for instance, last year we played, like you said, we played Alabama State and Pine Bluff last year, and I ended up losing my starting running back against Alabama State. So I feel like we should definitely get more money than what we're getting.
And if any AD that defends that about, oh, we trying to make it, listen, if $25,000 or $35,000 is going to be the difference between your program and the black and the red, maybe you need to rethink having a program. Maybe you need to rethink having football. Maybe you need to rethink your fundraising attempt, because you can fundraise $35,000 and not go through that. So and to me, we're doing the SWAC schools a favor, because they're the ones ducking the smoke. Now, I might catch a little flack by this, but they the ones ducking the smoke from the FCS schools. They don't want to line up against them, clearly. That's why all of them got 2 or 3. That's why all of them playing 2 or 3 Division II schools. They don't want to smoke with them other FCS schools.
I kind of wish we would have. I kind of wish we would have grabbed Southern. Being from Baton Rouge, I kind of wish we would have had them. Miles played them every other year.
Yeah, what's crazy? I feel like the year that Miles should have played Southern, they didn't. And so Southern is one of those schools that I hear Tuskegee people talk about, want to get Southern. Like Tuskegee has Grambling this year. It's like, can you get those matchups when you're at full strength? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it has to make sense financially first. That's the first thing. If it don't make sense with the cents and dollars, I ain't playing it, because they not going up to play no University of Louisiana Monroe or ULL for no pennies. So don't throw us no pennies. And then especially with y'all, because they gonna want the band to come. And I meant 35,000 to move a band y'all size, your football team. No, dog, they got to come up off that money.
Yeah,
they got to come up off that money. And it's not enough, And I get it. I think last year the conversation that was around was Miles playing 2. So like Tuskegee plays 2, with Grambling and Bama State. And ours was spread out. I was really concerned about y'all playing them back-to-back weeks. You played Bama State, then you turn around and played Pine Bluff. Luckily, I feel like Coach Shade had gone through it last season, so he kind of knew how to prepare. And, he was learning on the curve his first year there, so I feel like y'all handled that. Which, let's talk about that Pine Bluff game. Let's talk about it, because that's the one that got away. Right, the one that got away. I was real mad at that ineligible man downfield call, man.
Oh man,
Told me up. That told me up. And I've been saying they stole that game from y'all.
it's crazy because in the HBCU All Star game, I think it was called the Pigskin Showdown. A few of their players played in it with me, and they was just like, "Oh yeah, we definitely got lucky. Y'all, we was not supposed to beat y'all. This and that and the third." And I was just like, "Well, that game too. We kind of started off slow. I don't know why we did that so much last year. Start off slow, then getting halftime. Coach Shade chew us out. Then we gonna get right in the second half. And so leading up to that, I think the drive after that drive, no, the drive before that, we went for it on fourth down on the goal line, didn't punch it in, ended up getting the ball back. It ended up getting the ball back, going down again. And so we ended up that play was actually a run play, but I pulled it and threw it. But how our plays was at the time, it was actually an RPO. And so when I threw it, my center just so happened to fall, and the ref didn't throw the flag until Jay scored. And so
Which
we were celebrating the whole time. And then the referee just threw the flag. It was like ineligible man downfield.
which was crazy because I think that was my big point about it. Was that it's clear that he failed, right? And it's kind of in that gray area where I don't think you throw the flag in that particular situation.
Especially in that moment too, is late in the game. Is good ball being played too, because that whole game, D line was on us. They was I think I got sacked. I think I got sacked a handful of times that game. So going into that ending moments, that happened. Then we ended up getting the ball back again. We had three times to score 6 points, and the last time we was moving it again, and my running back ended up fumbling the ball, and that ended the game.
Blue Jacket for Life said where they SWAC refs. Probably so because they were at home. But I'm gonna tell you something in the Turkey Day Classic, and when Jacary Atkins get here, we're gonna talk about this play that happened in 2008, where I mean we scored twice, and both times the refs just were like, nope, no touchdown, and it broke a 27 game win streak for Tuskegee. And the pictures, like we had pictures and everything of him scoring. And those refs were actually SIAC refs. And it's like sometimes your owner, your owner mess you up too. But we had a president at the time that didn't play that, and them refs could never referee another collegiate game in the SIAC, got them fired. But we'll get to that. Um, let's move on. I gotta get your thoughts on the quarterback battle in the SIAC. So last week, bro, the two stars of the conference went head to head for the third time. David Wright and Kelvin Dorn. David Wright had a game, threw for seven touchdowns, and they upset Fort Valley. Y'all play Allen last year, right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all play Allen because that was the video of the bus. y'all was beating on the bus.
It's crazy because I was walking right past the bus and I'm just looking and I'm just like, man, let me go to my room.
Oh man, they the bus. I mean that video. I I think sometimes people think it's sweet in the SIAC, but it's a few hostile places to go and
Oh yeah,
play in this conference. Like
definitely get hectic on the hill, especially
yeah.
around that time. We was winning too, coming off a 1-9 season. Oh yeah. Then we had Lil Boosie come up there too. It was a lot of people came to that game. Lil Boosie came, Quincy Williams. We had some people at that game.
Man, listen. Um, so of course Teddy Keaton, the offensive guru, leaves Allen. He takes over Clark Atlanta. He brings David Wright, a couple of his players with him. So first game of the season, in my mind, to be honest, I'm thinking Fort Valley got it. I don't think Clark Atlanta is going to jail that quickly. They get out there. I feel like Kelvin Durham and David Wright have almost switched places. I feel like that at Allen, David Wright didn't have an offensive line. I feel like they just could not keep him up, and he had to dance around. Kelvin Durham, on the other hand, he's not used to that. The offensive line is not what it was at Fort Valley. They young. I mean, they got a few transfers, but they it's just not that normal Fort Valley. And I don't think y'all didn't play Fort Valley last year, did you?
No, sir, we ain't playing. We was gonna play them in the that bowl game they had in Florida, but they ended up doing like a CIAA versus a SIAC thing.
Yeah, which is some trash. Anyway, I ain't whatever. I still I'm mad about that CIAA stuff. I ain't gonna hold you. I feel like we need to have a mass meeting with all the coaches. Like, look, we can't have this kind of foolishness going on. But anyway, so I don't know if you got a chance to look at the stat sheets um for both of them, but in your opinion, as a quarterback, when you start talking about best quarterbacks, and you and I we've talked, I felt like last season, um, you were leading the nation in efficiency at one point, and when you
Efficiency
look at these,
touchdowns.
yeah, when you look at these two quarterbacks and you look at the numbers, um, and when the talk gets to going about who's the best quarterback, number one quarterback in the conference, in your opinion, should we look at their career holistically, or should we, if like the standout game that David Wright had Saturday, should that be like the deciding factor to say, oh yeah, David Wright is the top quarterback?
So when it comes to quarterback, me being a quarterback myself, I tie in everything from last season leading up to this season. I tie in who they playing, if they playing a great team or a strong team. But at the same time, everybody laces up they shoes the same way. And playing quarterback is extremely hard. And to go out and throw 7 touchdowns with 8 incompletions is hard. That's hard. Especially starting off the game 0 for 6. That's hard. And with Fort Valley quarterback Kelvin, he's a pretty good quarterback too. And not having the best O line can hurt you in many ways, many ways. And so like I honestly, when I think of best quarterback, I think of who's the most efficient, who comes through in the biggest games, who makes like anybody. I ain't gonna say anybody can throw the ball, but your arm talent is definitely a hard thing to have too, and and really winning games because you gotta be a good quarterback to win games. Can't win games with an average Joe quarterback.
Yeah, so when when I look at it, so I feel like this year David had the standout game against Kelvin, with 7, and I feel like last season Kelvin had the standout game against David Wright, threw for 5 TDs, 332 yards, 0 interceptions. So I feel like last year that was David Wright's problem. I think he threw 17 to 18 interceptions last season, and so that was the kicker. Could he come out this season and get his interceptions under control? Now I do think this year having a better offensive line is going to bode well uh, for um, David Wright, and I'm interested in seeing how Fort Valley approaches the game with Durham now. I felt like in that game, towards the end of the game, on that last drive, they kind of was like, okay, Kelvin, do your thing. Because Kelvin is mobile too. And there was a lot of times where I felt like he was trying to, press it up the field that he could have just got the first down himself. And so I
Yeah.
was really, really interested. Was that like, is that like a coaching thing with them and not letting him play his game, as they say, like backyard type football. But on that last drive, you kind of see him take off, and I'm like, yeah, this should have been done 3 drives ago. Um,
Yeah. he's a very mobile quarterback. I just seen him play a couple times last year, and he's pretty fast too. So to see him not run as much as he did last year, that was pretty shocking to me. And another thing too, I feel like with the O line they have, if that since they don't have that strong of an O line, I think they should implement more quick game and RPOs to get the ball out faster, so he can get the ball in the hands of his playmakers faster. So you won't have to sit back with the ball.
Yeah, definitely, man. I saw, and even the game Saturday, like that last throw, like you see the arm strength on the guy. He made me out of believer last year in the Red Tails Classic, like 40 some seconds left in the game. Bruh threw a 70-yard dot.
Oh yeah, I
I,
remember watching that.
man, bro threw a dot, and I'm like, wait, we finna lose this game because it's like when Fort Valley wakes up, and so all the talk was this particular season. After that game was um, fans that I feel like don't know the game, and I hate defending athletes of a person's school against people that represent like their school. There's this one Fort Valley alum, man. I mean, they get on my last nerve because this man said Kelvin Durham was garbage, and I was confused because I was trying to see when name a quarterback in Fort Valley in the last 25, 30 years that's better than him. They can't name one. They
Nah,
can't name one that have thrown for over 2,000 some yards like Durham. When was the last quarterback that led you to a back-to-back 8-win season? So, I found myself being on this Kelvin Durham campaign of like defending him because I feel like sometimes people just they run their mouth for no reason. Like this man is arguably the second best quarterback, and to some people, he's the best quarterback. I want to see more body of work from Wright before I just completely say, okay, well maybe Wright is number one. Um,
I watched some of Wright's games last year too, like some of the film, and some of his picks it wasn't his fault. Like he had some receivers ball hit their hands and ended up as pick. And as a quarterback, you can't. There's nothing you can do about it because once the ball leave our hands, we can't catch the ball. So it's like I do give them that. A lot of them picks was off the hands of receivers, and like when they played us, like I think I think one of the picks he threw was right to the guy, and the other one it was tipped too. And so a lot of his passes was tipped or dropped into picks.
yeah. So still early in the season, I think they I don't know who Clark has next.
Dude can spin it though. I give him that. He can spin it. He can spin it.
All right, keys to this game. What do you feel like Cam needs to do to get Miles successful to get win number 2 over Bama State?
I think I think Cam needs a little bit more consistency. Like he has drives where he's doing great, like making easy throws, like taking what the defense give him, and then in some drives he try to get more than what he needs or try to get it all in one play. Also, I think Miles needs to establish the run too, because I think the starting running back only had 16 or 19 yards. So we gotta win at the line of scrimmage to open up our pass game. Like we was getting a lot of passing yards last week, just off of strictly quick game. We'll take a shot here and there. We'll connect with it. But I think if they win a lot of scrimmage again this year, they'll beat Bama State.
So one of the things that I said on last week's show, and when I said it, when it came out of my mouth, I was like, "Dang, I wish I could eat those words back." I kind of belittled West Alabama, um, just kind of loosely talking, and that's one of the things that I want to make sure that I reel back a little bit. But that West Alabama team, they're not bad. Um, this they beat West Florida last season, and West Florida was like a second round, third round playoff team last season. We saw how well they played FAMU, which ended up being the HBCU national champs. Um, a play here and there, they could have got over Valdosta State in the playoffs, and could have represented Region 7 coming out. Um, they were right there, and to see how West Alabama played close games last season, and then to hear their coach talk. I heard him talk, I think Friday night. He was talking about all the players that he had coming back, how he was really excited about this bunch. And I think that made me kind of nervous to say, okay, you know, if this team is one of those rare West Alabama teams that can make a run, is Miles in trouble. But coming out, um, I like the size of I like the size of Miles, and I know that to everybody, size is not that important. But when you start talking about going up against um, 330, 340 nose tackles at the Division One LCS level, that matters. It matters because sometimes you can be so small and they just weigh on you. They just lean on you. So I think Miles has good size to compete with Bama State. I don't think Bama State defense is what they used to be. People and I said this last week, man. Even last year, I don't want to say Bama State defense is overhyped, but it's not the defense that it was when they had a guy named Clark that was a nose tackle. Be glad, bro, that you weren't playing that Miles when that dude was there because he was chaos. Okay, that big boy was chaos. He was chaotic, and he anchored that defense down. You talking about you could not run on Bama State. I think this Bama State defense now. I think they can. I think they can still be got right. I feel like that's why y'all got them last year. Y'all showed that y'all could win up front, and it ain't gotta be like these big 15, 20, 30-yard runs. Staying ahead of the chains, which I felt like y'all did real well last season, just staying ahead of the chain against that defense that everybody was saying, oh, nobody can run on them. Nobody can run on them. And then, I watched teams run on them. I feel like I think Coach Shade kind of alluded to that in his coach's show. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out. He had one of the better coaching shows. I think they got more in depth than some of the other coaching shows that I've seen coming out of the conference. And he talked about what happened to them and about them being able to run the ball even when they load the box. And I thought that was really important because if you're going to be a good run team and they load the box with 8, I still want to see a hat on the hat. I still want to see you run it. Because I feel like, I don't know, man, that Kentucky State Virginia Union game, if you ever look at it, Kentucky State could have put 22 folks in the box and still couldn't stop what Virginia Union was doing.
I think that's what Coach Da does a good job with our O line. Like we be at practice, we practice a lot of inside run, a lot of run blocks. Like we started off practice working run block schemes, giving different looks. With him playing O lineman at Alabama too, I think that gave us a bit of an edge on what can we do against Bama State we throw different looks, but we running the same plays, or we'll run one different look, but run a lot of plays out of it, but tag simple RPOs off of it like a tight end leap. So that's another reason how we got him. So because the linebacker, I forgot his name. I think he wore number 1 last year. He was a good run fitter, but if we got him out the box and the playing space, we was good with the run game, and that was really our goal going into the game is getting him into space because he was gonna make a lot of tackles. I think he had like 18 tackles that game. Anyway,
The bubble, Bubba Adams, the white guy, yeah. He was there, and I think that was one of the things that a lot of people figured out about him. You get him out in space, get him to cover. I think You were able to move the ball. And that's one of the things that you go back in hindsight that I think that the Tuskegee staff should have went and looked at that first series of that game when Tuskegee played them. Um, yeah, we were moving them out of like we were opening holes, and we went to just wanting to throw the ball. And I don't know, I don't this, you know, we'll talk about Tuskegee later, but running the ball. So I feel like that Scott. I know he, after going down last season. I know he want to come out and have a good showing. But we gotta talk about the Achilles heels of the Golden Bears, man. Y'all got an Achilles heels this year. That kicking game, dog.
We struggled with that last year too. Struggled with it last year. But that's why our coach always said not to put it in special teams' hands. But at the same time, you need special teams to win those games. And like I said, when offense was going slow, we had to rely on our special teams. So I'm not gonna ever be the type to say, oh, we don't need special teams or special teams is this and that and the third. Nah. After last year, you need special teams. You need special teams. That really showed me how important special teams was.
Yeah. I mean, you hit your PAT Saturday, you come out of Livingston with a win.
Oh
You
yeah.
you win. I mean, you missed two, you lose by a point. You hit one, you go to overtime. You hit the other one, you win. So, you know, hopefully it don't come to that. I jokingly said that maybe Miles is gonna have to adopt the Allen mindset before Allen got a field goal put up. When Teddy Keaton first got there, they just had to go for two because they could never practice field goals. They had nowhere to practice field goals. So
Oh man.
maybe I hope Shea got them boys trying to feel those 2 point conversions out there because they may need them. Now on the Bama State side, did you got a chance to check out that game with them in Central?
Nah, I don't think I ain't watched that one. I know I watched Clark versus Fort Valley. I watched Miles versus West Alabama. I mean, I've seen a little glimpse of it, but not too much.
Yeah, I think everybody right now for Bama State is holding their breath to see if Body back, see if Andrew Body, which is a transfer in that they got from Texas Southern. I mean, Bruss he's an athlete. I can only go off what I've heard all scripts say. I haven't really watched like a lot of film on Andrew Body. And don't know much about him. But I do trust all scripts' opinion of him, and a lot of people have shown where like he can throw the ball if he gets the opportunity. And I think Bama State still searching for that identity. Like they kind of play the two quarterback system. I hear both of them might be out, and so a lot of people are saying that it's Miles' game to win because they may be starting a true freshman at quarterback. And all I can say, if that defensive line comes hungry, I saw some holes in the offensive line
Yeah,
for Bama State. And I mean, you got Sharp, you got Rogers, you got the other kid. I can't think of his name. Yeah. I mean, they come hungry and they grind it out. I'm looking for Bama State defense to really be able to contain, and especially if Body is not on that field. Yeah, it's making me change my pick. I actually picked against Miles in my head, but after what I know right now, I think Miles go down there and get them boys again.
Miles D line is always gonna be top tier. I'll never forget when I first came in from Monticello. I think it was like one of the first practices. I think we was working 2 minutes, and like as soon as I snapped the ball, they in the backfield, and Coach Shade will be like, "You gotta get rid of it, gotta get rid of it." And I turn around like, "Coach, by the time I get the ball, they in the backfield." So working with those guys, they definitely helped me a lot during that season. Like helped me read my keys, finding my hots faster. And Jamaica, J Mike is gonna get back there. And I think last year when we played Bama State, they was holding J Mike a lot. We didn't get the call no time, but they was holding J Mike a lot because J Mike is definitely the heart of that D line. Him, Rock, all them boys. That's a nice. They front seven is nice.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Look, the whole year, and I'm so something about the SIAC. So, Miles, I know like Miles and Tuskegee is a big rivalry now. It hadn't always been, dog. Miles is a pretty new championship contending team in the conference. Miles was like the team that everybody wanted to play for homecoming. You just blow them out. So when I was at Tuskegee, talking about Miles was a rivalry, dog, you had lost your mind. Miles ain't no rivalry. Then Ruffin, who's now our AD, at Ski, went to Miles and turned them into a championship like team. I think he won their first SIAC championship. I'm not mistaken. Either they first or they second. It might have been their first, and then he won them a couple of more. So when he left, dog, to be honest with you, everybody thought that Miles was just gonna be dead in the water. He, he took who he wanted to take with him, brought him over to Ski. And the first year Miles came, man, they took us to 2 overtime.
I watched some of that game last year.
they took us to 2 overtimes, and I was saying in my head, how in the hell is this team that at that time they were 1-8? How are they playing us this close? So coming into the next season, I saw them. I had saw because the spring game before you got there, they aired it. I think BCSN aired it, and I looked at the spring game. I said, "Whoa, wait a minute! That 1-9 from last year, they look a little solid." So I started telling folks around the ski camp like, "Hey, dog, I don't. From what I'm seeing from us at spring and what I saw from them, I don't think we in the same weight class. I don't think we punching with them boys." And everybody was just like, "Oh no, it's Miles. It's we got roughing now. It is what it is, bruh. The way y'all beat us, it started a lot of conversations around ski, cause I think Ja was hurt. He was hurt that game, but Abner, I think that's when he came on my radar.
Oh yeah, Al. That's my guy, man. Al, man, I got the craziest stories about Al. I think the Tuskegee game, that game I couldn't play because I didn't do my concussion protocols. I had to sit on the sideline, and I think before the game, I was begging Coach Shea. Begging Coach Shea. I'm like, Coach, come on, let's get like the whole week. I'm like, Coach, let me do my protocol. I'm trying to play. And I athletic trainer at the time. Well, he still there. He ended up leaving with the basketball team. And so I couldn't do my protocol. That's how I ended up missing the game.
Well, God answered prayers, dog. That's what God answered prayers, because we need you. we need you out there. Matter of fact, we didn't need quite a few of y'all out there.
And it's so crazy because that game, I think it was halftime, and I was walking back on the field, and they talking trash to me. I'm like, I'm not even playing. I'm not even playing. I'm just cooling on the sideline.
I think that Miles Tuskegee has turned into one of the best rivalries in D2 because it goes across sports. Like, we don't like y'all in basketball, we don't like y'all in baseball. It's crazy how I think with time and Miles becoming competitive has really changed things. And so I'll jump, man, to say y'all come to Tuskegee for homecoming, which could possibly be Tuskegee's first game under lights. Okay, you've seen the videos of how many folks be out there.
Yeah,
it is packed. I want you to know, dog, we cool. But if y'all beat us on our homecoming, dog, we ain't cool for 48 hours, dog. I don't know. I can't talk to nobody from Miles. Nobody. I don't even want to see him. at all. I don't want to see no purple. I don't want to see no nothing.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you the player who gonna be the one that do something against Tuskegee. And you might not think it right now, but Trevante Abner. Remember this name, Trevante Abner. Our tight end, number 13. Telling you.
I got you. I got you. You know, hey, it
Jay
is.
gonna, Jay gonna do his thing regardless. Jay just gonna do him regardless. But the one to watch for Trevante Abner and our running back Gennaro Scott. A lot of people ain't see a bunch of Gennaro because he got hurt last year, but I'm calling it.
All right, let's jump to some of these games, man. And I just feel like this is a bloodbath week for the conference. I'm gonna keep it a buck. If we don't get the Bama State game, I don't know another SIAC SWAC matchup we can get. To be quite honest with you, that KSU A&M game, that's a bloodbath, dog. that's, that's gonna be a bloodbath. I know Alabama A&M got 70 points hung on them against Auburn, but it's Auburn. But Kentucky State got 69 points put on them by another Division II school.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
That one's gonna be ugly. Now, I do got a few question marks. Now I know you're a Baton Rouge, you're a Louisiana man.
Oh man.
SSU, Savannah State. I don't think did y'all play Savannah State last year?
Nah, we didn't play now.
Yeah. They were they were okay. Now, I think they hyped Adams up. They put Adams as second team all conference quarterback over Durham, and don't ask me how that happened, but um
You know who I was shocked that didn't? Well, no, I think he did get it. No, I think to me personally, I think second team should have been John Russell out of Edward Waters.
yeah, so coming out of last season, I to be honest with you, I really thought he had another year of eligibility. I'm gonna have to bring him on next week and talk to him. Um, I tell you what, that Warriors team, they miss him. From what I saw against them in Morehouse, dog, they gonna miss Russell. But Russell came down there and beat us in our home. That's another reason, dog. I ain't fooling with Miles because we can't lose homecoming 2 years in a row. Just can't. That can't. But I feel like that's a veteran Savannah State team that's coming back. But I saw Southern and McNeese. Um,
I think with Southern, they don't get enough consistency from the quarterback position. That's Southern downfall every year. They don't get enough consistency from a quarterback. Every other piece of the offense be good. They're gonna have a solid defense. It's just quarterback. So if you can get some consistency out your quarterback, I really feel like Southern can really be one of those powerhouses again in the SWAC. But if you can't find consistency in your quarterback, they're gonna be one of those good teams that can be a great team.
they are in the SWAT West. And the SWAT West is Wild Wild West because I was looking over there and I saw that Texas Southern beat Prairie View and I was just shocked and was really curious about what the hell was going on. Um, but we'll see. So I got that one circled. Maybe Savannah State can keep that close to halftime. Um, but if Southern play around and they can't get going, maybe Savannah State can get the snipe. But if Savannah State is going to win that game, they got to keep it low scoring and kind of try to grind it out. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
keep Southern off the field.
Another one, Jackson State and Lane. Y'all opened the season up with Lane last year. I call Lane the backyard football team because they pitch and catch it around. They try to woo you into a win. Their claim to fame kind of in these games is they went up and they beat Tennessee State about 2 years ago. and I think they've been trying to recreate that success.
I'm not even gonna lie. When Lane, them boys play from start to finish. As they do not. It don't matter the quarter, how much they down, but they gonna play from start to finish. And they actually had some playmakers last year that was actually going off against us. But I think he ended up transferring and going to. I think it was a receiver they had. I think he ended up going to Clark.
Yeah, I think they had Jock Jones on that team last year too, and he ended up going to Norfolk. So I mean, they had a few positions that they needed to replace, but I will say the running back that they had when they beat Tennessee State, Ike Brown, he's back. Um, so I'm looking for them to probably try to run the ball. They got a transfer quarterback in from I want to say Hines Community College. And they're high on. They sent me a few clips of them. So they're looking for a good showing down at Jackson State, but I saw Jackson State, dog. I saw them with ULM. I don't think this lane yet, especially not a first game. Maybe they had a little tune up first, played somebody, as my dad would say, to get the kinks out. I think that's a rough one to go up against a Jackson State team that's trying to. They don't like falling off last year. You got a team down there that has a mission. They want to prove to everybody that they're still Jackson State after post prime. And I think when you got a team like that on a mission, they're looking to crush Lane. And maybe if I would have saw Lane in the game first, maybe Lane should have got into this week 0 um, contest to try to work some things out. I just don't think that's a team that you go down and try to work some things out on.
No.
Not at all. We got John C. Smith versus Morehouse. I really don't want to talk about this because Morehouse been down for a long time. I saw Johnson C. Smith beat us on Sunday. I'm very disappointed in that, but they got a solid defense, dog. Like, I think I was shocked at the physicality of Johnson C. Smith. Like, them boys, yikes! They got a linebacker, last name Black. That boy gets in there. He gets in there. You got to play him. I saw Morehouse play up with Waters, and I don't know what Morehouse gonna do. I don't know. I think they need to be praying to Dr. King, that the spirit of Dr. King come and talk to Johnson C. Smith, because I feel like that one probably could get real ugly. Now, I'm not overly impressed with Johnson C. Smith's offense at all. I feel like they were able to score on Tuskegee on a busted play, turn the ball over deep into our own territory. That was on the rhythm. I'm not impressed by the offense, but that defense, yeah, I don't see Morehouse scoring at all on Johnson C. Smith. So that one now, that one trash. I don't know much about Shaw. I saw Albany State get boat raced by Valdosta State. So I don't know.
I'm still a little sick about Albany State. I'm still sick. I'm gonna forever be sick about that.
Man, I'm gonna tell you. I talk about that game all the time. The people say that I disrespect Albany State by saying that I don't think they were the second best team in the conference. I just don't. I saw them. I saw them a couple times. I'm calling the game. I think we were playing Clark Atlanta that day. So I'm calling the game. One of my partners texts me. He texts me the score. I'm thinking he texts me like, oh, he got it mixed up. I'm looking. Oh, he got this mixed up. Like Albany State. I know this ain't. I know this ain't, because in my mind I'm thinking Miles can go down there and handle business, and we're gonna get a Miles Benedict SIAC championship game. That's what I wanted to see. I felt like if we were talking about the two best teams in the conference last year, it was Miles and Benedict, and Miles had the best. I mean, because you had the opportunity to knock them off early in the season. You go up on them late in that game. They just happened to put together a good drive and come back and score with like a minute or something left in the game. But I remember like when the game was over, Benedict telling y'all like, "Hey, see y'all in Atlanta, see y'all in Atlanta," because I felt like they felt like y'all were the better team too.
That's
Dang.
actually that was actually true. They was telling like after the game we shaking hands, like, oh yeah, we're gonna see y'all again, we're gonna see y'all again. Now this them telling us this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
definitely. Like that's what I heard.
gonna see y'all again. Cause I remember talking to one of their guys after the game. He's like, yeah, quarterback, keep your head up, keep your head up. He's like, we finna run through the rest of this schedule and we gonna see y'all again in the end. And so we get down to the Albany State game. First possession of the game. I think we started on like the 11-yard line, get all the way down to the 50. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be one of them games. We finna go crazy. He called a run play and a DN crash. I just pulled it, and then the one time I slide, ended up getting a concussion.
Man, that one, that one hunts because and then when I looked at the score, I'm just like, dang, they went down there to that Rams den, man, and just fell apart. And so I've heard Coach Shade talk about it. I've heard his opinion about it, and then he tried to get a coach's talk and say, well, hats off to Albany State. They had a good game plan. I'm just like, no, Coach, I get the coach talk. Miles just didn't get off the bus. Like,
I'm a be honest with you. It's like after I got hurt, it's like I'm walking down the sideline. I can see it on my teammates' faces. It's just like, oh yeah, we don't. Jay already hurt, so it's like, oh, we don't know if we can do this. Then on the other side, the defense, you got them making. It was a play. I think quarterback threw it, and the ball got tipped up, and the receiver caught it and took it 60 yards. And I was just looking at it like, yeah, it's one of them games. It's one of them games.
so Oscar asked this question: like, people want to take away the slide because of the injuries that happened. What's your thoughts about that?
Honestly, with that, I can agree with that because even if we slide, you still have some players that don't care about us giving ourselves up and will still lower their head and dive into you, like what happened against Albany State. I was giving myself up, I slid, and I still ended up getting hit, ended up getting a concussion, and all we got was a 15-yard penalty and a loss of a quarterback. So I definitely agree with that.
That basically changed the complexity of that game and really changed the complexity of how the season went because um, I think in my mind I was like, okay, well, Albany State might get got by Fort Valley, and then we'll just have to sort that out, through the tiebreaker rule because I wanted to see the perfect SIC championship game to me was going to be the rematch of Benedict versus Miles, and so I hate that we didn't get it. That was just one of the things that I mean, that's just how it goes. Um,
I think the people didn't want to give us that game because they knew what was gonna happen. They knew what was gonna happen. Everybody knew what was gonna happen.
I mean, I feel like, man, that would have been first off, you already going down in Miles history. It's already a historic season because you got them that I mean they've tried. When Ruffin got there, they played Alcorn, they played A&M, they played Southern, they played Bama State multiple times. And it was like he could get right there, but just could never get over the hump. So Shade comes his second year, he gets over the hump. I mean, that's solidified. I feel like Miles fans were content. Y'all beat Bama State. They were content with that. Then y'all turned around, beat us. They were content. I feel like that was job security. That's really what they wanted to see. And y'all got that. Y'all got that done. But I feel like SIC, and I feel like y'all could have got Miles, and that's why like when people talk about Benedict running through the conference, I'm saying, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but Benedict didn't just run through everybody. It was a team now up in Fairfield, and I be finding myself defending Miles a lot more than I want to defend Miles at this point in my life. But I try to be fair. Um, I don't know how much Edward Waters you saw. Edward Waters, like you said, Jaron Russell, they miss him. I don't know what they are. I think they lose that game. Florida Memorial is an NAIA school, but we don't even know who on their roster yet. They still getting guys, probably. The NAIA.
I think
You know,
it'll be a close game. If I had to predict the score, I'll probably say 24 and 21. 24 to 21. I'll give it to Edward Waters by 3.
Dr. Faison would love to hear you say that, bro. But I'm saying they look bad, bro. They look bad. Let me go back to this one. Get your thoughts on here. I don't know. I think bro tried to call me, but I'm using my phone as a camera today, so somebody came up. We got Tuskegee versus another Louisiana school, dog. Grambling. Matter of fact, we talked about how you instantly put me in the mind of Bruce Eugene when I saw they had signed you. I think that's a bloodbath there too, and I'm just saying, I hate to say that, being that I'm so used to a ski that's 2007, we crowned ourselves the SWAC champion because we beat the SWAC East champ and the SWAC West champ. So we deemed ourselves the 2007 SWAC champions, and then turned around, bro, and got boat raced by Albany State the same. Albany State came down there, man. I think that game was like 41-6, 41-6. I don't know.
See, it's Albany. Albany, that one team that always gets you. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a few of they players I played with in the bowl, the pigskin showdown too. And the guys actually told me, he said, our coach literally told us before the game, we have no chance until you got hurt.
Well, I thought it was automatic. And so I think that's the message got to be the Miles this year. They got to finish it. Ain't nothing guaranteed down there, and especially when you start talking about the Albany States, y'all gonna play a really tough game because y'all play Albany State again this year. I think Clark, just because of the way that they throwing the ball, I think they're gonna be a tough out for a lot of teams. And then, if my Tigers can put it together, we'll see. Now this score. Wait a minute. I got to put this up here. This man said Grambling 38, Tuskegee 10. I'm glad you giving us 10 points. You giving us 10 points. Now I feel like we can win, dog.
I had y'all getting 17, but
yep, 17. Oh, bro, we finna win.
I had y'all getting 17.
If we score 17 points, we leaving Grambling, Louisiana with a win. If we get 17 points, and don't get me wrong, I feel like Tuskegee, go back and you look at that game. That 2 quarterback system. So of course, how do you feel about when you come out of camp and it's a neck and neck race? This is what Coach James said on his show. He says it was a neck and neck race between Roberson, that he started a couple games for us last year when Williams got hurt. And the transfer in Bill. They played those guys every other series. Now, in my opinion, I feel like Bill was the guy. But because you're not telling me that Roberson beat Bill out in fall camp. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. I've seen both of them throw the ball. I saw both of them throw the ball Sunday. And I don't know how you can say that kid, was neck and neck with him. But however, as a quarterback, how does that throw you off your game if every other series, like this series is Bill, the next series is the other guy? Then you start seeing like the issues with the snap, and which actually caused us to fumble the ball a couple of times. It was just that back and forth that I just personally think you just got to pick one and ride with.
As a quarterback, you can't do every other possession because it's so hard to get into a rhythm as a quarterback. Like one series, you might not have a good series, and then you take me out, and then I don't come back in for another few series, how you expect me to get in the rhythm? And then I feel like if doing a two quarterback system never works because it's almost like when one quarterback comes in, they know, oh, well, he may be a better runner than the other quarterback. So I feel like as a coach, you have to know who your guy is going to be before week one. Have to know. And I feel like if you're going to do a two quarterback system, I would say to pick who's the better quarterback, you got to go half and half. One quarterback gets a half, the other quarterback gets a half. And if the first quarterback he's having a great game, he's in control of the game, you know, that's that's your guy. You got to roll with it. But if he's struggling first half and then your second guy comes in and he hammers the ball, that to me that's how you find out who your guy is. If you can't find it in fall camp.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. The one thing that I was happy about when I left that game, I said we could have been Bama State and put both our quarterbacks on the field at the same time for both of them to get hurt during the game. Like that could have been us, okay? But at least we were doing every other series. But it is what it is, dog. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see after we come out this week with Grambling, man.
Is he related to Eddie Robb? Fun fact: my high school coach coached right along Eddie Robinson, Michael Roach.
Small world. Let's go through. I feel like somebody else had shot you out. See if we got any questions in here for you before. Cause I'm gonna talk about some and I'm gonna let you go, dog, because I don't want folks to put you in what I'm about to say. Cause I'm finna dog one school in this conference. And I don't even want your name tied with what I'm finna say about this team. It was a question somewhere in here. Oh, they asked where you still the quarterback at Miles. My guy, I wish he had. Well, no, I don't. I'm lying. I don't wish you had another year eligibility. I would be lying. I would be lying if I said that. So I ain't gonna lie. No.
I wish I had another. It's crazy because last year I think a couple times during fall camp I got called to the office and it was making sure I had eligibility for last year, and I had to count my semesters like 3 times. I wish I would have came to Miles a year before I came.
I tell you what. Before you get out of here, just tell me a little bit about that recruitment process at how you ended up at Miles.
So when I was originally at University of Arkansas Monticello, I came there straight out of junior college because I went to Coffeyville Community College straight out of high school, and so coming in, one of the coaches that coached me at Coffeyville, he was just like, "Hey, I think you should come here. You should come here and battle for starting quarterback." And so I came. Uh, I ended up going there. I ended up being a two for like 2 seasons. And then one of our receiver coach, Lawan Lasson, he ended up leaving, going to Miles. And so I think going into my semester while I was off of school, I was just taking like one class, and he ended up calling me on my birthday. Called me on my birthday, and he's like, "Hey, what you gonna do?" I was just gonna stay at Monticello, and then he called me. He was like, "I think you could play quarterback at Miles." And so I was like, Miles College. I was like, Miles College that plays Southern almost every year. And he was like, yeah. And so he I talked to the coaches. He had pulled up my film. I talked to Coach Shea. Coach Shea was just like, hey, I need a quarterback. Ended up going, meeting some pretty good guys. And I actually visited there the day of the spring game. I drove down there from Baton Rouge to their spring game. And I was watching their spring game. And then I told him after the spring game, I was like, I'm coming. So I graduated from Arkansas Monticello. Then I ended up transferring, going to Miles. And I think like one of the very first meetings we had, we was introducing ourselves, and they was like, all quarterbacks stand up. And like I stood up, and the whole team started laughing because I'm not your average size quarterback. So everybody got to laughing, and so I kind of felt some type of way, you know. Then we get to practicing, and it was like, oh, he can really sling it for real, like he can ball, and so that's really how I earned everybody's respect, at practice, came out. But other than that, it was a cool experience. I loved everything about being at Miles, and they was just like a family. That's why I loved it so much, especially in the quarterback room. It's just a brotherhood. I still talk to those guys still today, and if I can go back and transfer a year early, I would.
Definitely. I'm glad you didn't, because that you probably would have been the difference maker in that first year Shade came to Ski. So, and we definitely wouldn't be seeing, if y'all had beat us twice, dog. We definitely wouldn't be sitting on this thing now, because I know, no, absolutely not. What's
Oh,
that? Um,
man.
what's that Kendrick Lamar bar? I hate y'all do anything to replace y'all. Yeah, dog. No, no, absolutely not. Would not be sitting.
But
But no, man.
it's
Listen,
crazy going into the Tuskegee game. Coach Shea told us like he was just like every other game don't matter. This the game that mattered. It's just like if we don't win this game, we gonna have a lot of problems. So he made it a point to beat Tuskegee. He gonna make it a point every year.
yeah, dog. Right now, in my opinion, I got Miles to finish the conference. I don't see why they can't. I think my number two is gonna fluctuate a little bit for who can challenge them, but I feel like Benedict is out of the way. I feel like the conference is Miles for the taking. And I feel like, you're a big part of that to rebuild that success. I feel like another thing that has to be said is that this Miles team, this current Miles makeup is different. I tell everybody, y'all were 4 points away from being 9-1 last season. There was a 1-9 team the year before that. And I think that's big. And I think that um, you are responsible for a lot of that success that Miles has had. And, I feel like you 1 year, but when we tell the histories of these schools down the line, I think to we have to take that into consideration that the game has changed, the transfer portal, how long guys stayed there. But I definitely feel like you have cemented your legacy. You'll always be the quarterback that beat Bama State. 50 years from now, they're gonna talk about Klienpeter, the one that beat Bama State for Miles. But look, um, oh yeah, this Arthur Blank made a donation. I see they got the extra practice field down there. I said, okay, I see you, Miles.
I
See
was
you,
quite sick
Miles
about that
College.
too. Was quite sick
What's
about that too.
what's the what's y'all little saying? Miles ahead? Is it and the little motto on the commercial, something like that? But whatever it is, um, like I think I've told you this, and I tell everybody, I'm your enemy one time a year. It's only when Tuskegee on your schedule. Like I'm for everybody until the Golden Tigers on your schedule. Then we can't be friends. So, but man, I appreciate you coming on. Um, I got Jaron Russell. Like I want to see y'all guys that have played this game and recently. I want y'all out here because I feel like y'all have an understanding of what's going on now. We can talk about what went on at Tuskegee 20 years ago, 15 years ago, till we blew in the face. That ain't what's happening now. And I feel like it's guys like you that understand the players, understand what y'all currently going through, that can get out here and really tell these stories. And so that's why I was so adamant about having you on. Um, and I want to have some more of y'all on, and really want y'all to see your own thing. I'm ready to retire. I got to focus on law school, dog. I can't.
I'm gonna have to call my boy John and tell him to tap in with you.
Yeah, I want to see y'all boys in here. Breaking it down and talking. So we gonna talk more. If y'all like Klein Peter, y'all put in the chat. Klein Peter number 12 for Miles, and tell him we want him to come back. I'm trying to talk him into being a regular on the show. And let them boys, tell their story. But I appreciate you, man, for
I appreciate you having me on. I definitely would love to come back and talk more ball with you.
Got you. All right. Let's get down to business. And by business, I want to keep them boys' name clean. But I got a problem. I got a problem right now. And that little scene in what's the name of that movie? Django. Y'all know when they had the hoods over their head and they were riding and they were talking about the hoods over their head, and the man said, all I hear is criticize. Well, that's what y'all finna hear right now. Is criticize. Morehouse, the bottom feeder of the SIAC, and been the bottom feeder for a long time. The school that everybody knows, the school that everybody talks about, got all the money consistently. And when I say consistently, ruins everything, dog. Like, consistently shows why they are the laughing stock of Division II athletics, why they are the laughing stock of Division II football, more specifically. Now, they got a new coach in Mathis. This is nothing against him. This is nothing against him because I know he's just trying to get in the door, trying to change, as he say, not change the culture. He wants to change the atmosphere. Like, those were his words at Morehouse. Morehouse played a game on Saturday against Edward Waters. I go to their page to look up their roster. Not a roster update in sight. This is Division II athletics. The people can't even go and see what number their child gonna be wearing. They can't even share their child making the roster at Morehouse. Because why? We don't even have a roster update on the website at Morehouse. Morehouse's schedule is still showing 0-0. We know that 0-1. They pretty much can put 0-10. They pretty much can put 0-10 because the one team they beat last year, I think we all can agree they're not going to beat Clark this year. Let me pin this comment. This is the common narrative, right here. Morehouse doesn't care about sports. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's the common narrative. Morehouse doesn't care about sports, and I can prove it to you that you're a lie. Look at them in basketball. They care. If they didn't care, Wilcher would still be the coach. If they didn't care, Hugh Jackson would have been the coach. Which brings me to my other point. Where is Karen Phillips when you need him? When the news broke that they were going to hire Hugh Jackson, he went on a media campaign on why they shouldn't hire Hugh Jackson. My question is, why won't you go on a media rampage of why they can't do the bare minimum of uploading a roster, on your schedule? That's bare minimum. That's the bare minimum that you can do. Let's get into what they said. Didn't even come from the athletic page about this win. The Maroon Tigers gave a valiant effort in their first game of the season. And despite falling short, we were poised defensively, recording 2 safeties and allowing 4 touchdowns. Who in the hell wrote this? Who wrote this? why is this how you worded this? Because I can help you. We look bad, but we got a first-year coach that we're not helping out. Now, back to this point about they don't care about football. You say they don't care. They have to because word on the street, to piggyback off how off script said, and my boy Scotty says, they finna go D1. If you look on Twitter, you can search the offers that they're offering kids. Kids are saying, got my first Division I offer from Morehouse. Their coach has said, not on one occasion, on two occasions, that when he recruits kids, he's recruiting kids to see if they can play Division I in the next 2 years. I ain't lying on them. It's out there. These are the stories that they put up. This is what he said. I said on last week's show, he said that Ed Reed was joining his staff. And he says they're going Division I. I remember when, not Wilcher, the coach before Wilcher, long-term coach. Why is his name escaping me? They didn't even have anywhere to practice. Them boys was getting in cars to find spaces to practice because they didn't plan well. They got a new AD. I was expecting more. I guess they need an SID. Matter of fact, I tell you what, Morehouse, y'all can 1099 me. Y'all can 1099 me, and I'll write your game recaps. 1099 me, give me the NCAA manager login. I'll be your SID remotely. That's what I'll do. You ain't even got to pay me that much. We'll work out something reasonable because that makes no sense. You are the biggest brand in the SIAC. A good Morehouse or a competitive Morehouse bodes well for the entire conference. The entire conference benefits from a good Morehouse. You got to get for real. I mean, it's not just, like I said, this is no knock on Mathis. He just got there. This is a knock on being able to do the bare minimum at these schools. It go back to what I was talking about earlier, like getting those pennies to go play those games, to go play those FCS games. Morehouse, you're going to take this team on the road to play a pretty good Howard team again in New Jersey. You keep putting these guys in bad predicaments. You keep putting them in unfavorable positions. And I don't think it's fair to the student athlete. Morehouse can do better. You can do better. Y'all can have a roster. You can have a roster. That makes no sense not to even have a roster. It makes no sense not to get those guys' stats in. It makes no sense for your athletic page to look like that. That's just bad business. And I expect Morehouse to be better than that. I've seen Morehouse better than this. Some people haven't been around the HBCU spaces long enough to remember. I mean, it wasn't 10, 15 years ago. This was a Division II playoff type team. Those years where Charlie Wilson was on that team, this was a good Morehouse team. It's sad. It's sad. But like I said, call me. Matter of fact, the AD got a contact in a way that he can get at me. 1099 me. You ain't even got to hire me. Ain't no health insurance. 1099 me. I would do that for a little nothing because Those guys deserve better. I saw those guys play on Saturday. Did the offense look well? No. Did the defense look? Yes. For a team that has gone through as the transitions that Morehouse has gone through, this is your third coach in 3 years. And every one of them has been like turmoil. Well, matter of fact, to be honest with you, it's your fourth coach in 3 years because technically Hugh Jackson was already recruiting kids when he found out that he wasn't going to get the job because kids came down there thinking they had a scholarship from Hugh Jackson because my inbox is full of parents who were going completely off about getting on the plane, spending money, coming down to Morehouse because they thought they had a scholarship at Morehouse. You put those guys through all that and you can't even put a roster up. You can't even update the stats. You can't even update the page. You can't, none of that. It's Morehouse. You can't pay an SID. Probably with a little bit amount of money that y'all paying for SIDs, which all our schools need to get better with paying the SIDs and getting them some help. Because it's really important. It's important in this age of social media. It's important in the age of social media. It's important in this age of technology to keep people galvanized about your program. And it's just bad. It's a really bad look. And I'm going to bring up one more point that I brought up earlier for people who weren't in here. I talked about Division II teams playing these FCS teams. And there was a comment a little bit further up. The SIAC versus SWAC should be a money game for SIAC. It should be. We just had the quarterback for Miles that talked about the injuries that they face going up against these FCS schools. We like the rivalries, but in the age of depth, some of the lack of scholarships that these SIAC schools have, these games need to make sense from a money component. And not only from a money component, they need to make sense because technically what these FCS schools are getting away with, they are getting away with a free, a little to nothing, free recruitment because they are recruiting your rosters. The SWAC, FCS HBCUs ravaged the SIAC's rosters this past off season. And a lot of them come from, you take your teams to play them, they like, ooh, we can use him. Ooh, we can use him. You're giving them free eyes on your talent. They should pay for it. They should pay for it. Matter of fact, they should add extra money to whatever they're paying you. They should add extra money out of their recruitment budget because that's what they're doing. And I showed them this earlier. $35,000 is not enough for Lane to get on the bus to go to A&M and take their band. That trip cost every bit from a football perspective anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000. The bus ride. That's not the hotel stay. That's not the food. That's not the other services, the health services that you have to provide, all the other game day operating expenses, and Lane took their band. You looking at that $35,000 only covered the bus ride for the band and the football team up there. I would never in my life take a game from a SWAC school for $35,000. Never. Lane can get on TikTok and go live on TikTok and ask folks to send them gifts on TikTok and make $35,000. I would never. That's insane. That is insane. That's not even making ends meet. For them to turn around and ravage through your roster. for them to start DMing your players before y'all leave, which they do. I've seen the DMs. Ain't no way, dog. Ain't no way. 100K or less. 100K or less. I mean, or more, not less. What I'm saying, 100,000 or more is my bottom line to go play any. What Tuskegee got to go play A&M last year was trash. Tuskegee got 50K to go play A&M. A&M sold that homecoming out. It was a sold out homecoming. They raised record amount of money. I think the reunion classes raised $1.4 million for them. That's not a knock on A&M. Get your money, do what you do. I'm happy for you. I want all HBCUs to win. But I want us to make good business decisions. And that's why it's so secretive. And that's the problem with a lot of our institutions. Everything is so secretive, and you know why it's secretive? Because they know it don't make no damn sense. They know it doesn't make sense. They know it doesn't make sense. That's why there's no reason why I can't Google right now and see how much Tuskegee is getting. Grambling is paying Tuskegee to come down there. I shouldn't have to do a Freedom of Information request to know that. I shouldn't have to do that. Anytime another FCS and D2 team play, we know it. When they go play the FBS schools, we know how much they get because it makes dollar sense. It makes dollar sense. It's hard for SWAC schools to give 100K when they are only getting 325 and 500K from FBS payout. That sounds like a personal problem to me. I said this earlier. To be honest with you, SIAC schools are the ones that's doing them the favor. Go get some of that money out your recruiting budget because that's what you're using it for. That's what you're using it for. There are so many kids on those SWAC rosters that were poached off of SIAC teams, which I'm not mad. That's the nature of the game. But I tell you what, you're going to have to work to get it. You're going to have to turn on that film and watch it. I'm not going to come to you for free and give it to you. Not 35. I'm not going to come to you for $35,000, get beat, get players hurt, and you take my players away from me for 35K. No way. Not happening. 100K or better. Because we're doing you the favor. And how I know we're doing you the favor? Because y'all don't want to go play them FCS schools. Y'all don't want to play them FCS schools. Y'all want to dodge y'all. That's why all your schools got 2 or 3 of us on them. You don't want to. How I know you dodging FCS schools, dog? How I know you're dodging them? When y'all start going to get D2 teams from California to come play. What is that going to do? What is that going to do for you? What is bringing Kentucky State in going to do for attendance at Alabama A&M? When you got UNA right up the street, even though I know Manor said he'll never play UNA again because of the issue that happened when they went there. And it's crazy because Tuskegee had an issue with UNA too. Our AD at the time, we went and played UNA in the playoff game. Our AD asked them, could they move their band back on their side because we were going to need the space. And I don't think they quite understood that Tuskegee was going to travel that well. And so they made a big deal like, oh, Tuskegee wants to bring segregation back. It was crazy. The headlines behind that was really weird. But we went up there and got the win, right? Like we still went up there and got the win against UNA. And now that UNA is FCS, I'm just saying, we dodge a lot of stuff. We're dodging. And so if I'm an AD at a SIAC school, $35,000 is not gonna make me come. And especially if I'm the AD at Tuskegee, $50,000 not gonna make me come. $50,000 just not gonna make. I mean, you can check the numbers when Tuskegee show up on full schedule, what the attendance look like. You can even look at it when we played Hampton. 2022. I mean, I'm just saying, you gotta know your product and you gotta value your product. And if I'm Tuskegee, I'm not moving for less than $100,000. I'm not coming nowhere for less than $100,000. For what? Why? I mean, and if I'm Tuskegee, I mean, and I know that Ruffin kind of feels like this too, behind the scenes, because I've, he's kind of alluded to it publicly. But what I do know is, once we get these lights, if it ain't home and home, y'all kiss our butt for that little pocket change. It's not like, 2014, A&M came and played us at home. So it is what it is. But $35K, no. Don't take $35K for that. Not at all. I'm not taking $50K if I'm Tuskegee. $100K or better. I'm gonna quote Tia Kemp again. When she was on there, Alexa, when she was telling Rick Ross, when she was holding that thing, telling it was 2 issue, and it was like, I need 250,000. I'm tired of them 20,000 birds. I'm tired of them 20K birds. The SIAC they need to be Tia Kemp. Get your Tia Kemp energy on. Tired of them 20 birds. I need $250,000. I need 100,000. I need 100,000. You want us on your schedule, because who else you gonna play? Who else you gonna play? If the SIAC stop playing, who else they gonna play? Who else you gonna play? And then for us, on the D2 level, we get penalized for it. We get penalized for it. And more importantly, my other problem with this, and I said this earlier, you got a lot of schools in the SIAC that's struggling, a lot of private schools. You talking about a Lane College team with 18 scholarships, spread it out over 90 plus guys. You don't have the depth that everybody else has. Lane don't have the scholarships to have 16, 17 offensive linemen on that roster. You go up there to Jackson State and you lose 1 or 2 offensive linemen, your season is down the drain. Unlike on the LCS level, they can have 17, 18 offensive linemen on the schedule. On the roster. So it's a depth issue. Do I think that a lot of SIAC, the first 11 can play? Yes. It's getting to that depth. And then now in the conference, in my opinion, for the schools with lesser resources, now that we have an 8-game conference mandate opposed to the divisional, I think it really bodes bad for the teams that don't have full allotment of scholarships. Because when we had divisions, you really only had 4 or 5 games you had to win in order to get to a championship game, right? You could spread that out. They were late in the season. You would play your FCS teams early in the season. If you get banged up, you get time to get them back before you get into divisional play. But now with 8 games, you got divisional play all through, right? You got divisional play pay all the way through this the schedule now. A guy goes down this week, you can have a big time game the next week, and you don't have time to get that guy back. You got to be healthy for 8 games. And so that comes with a lot of, it's kind of like an NFL type of thing, general manager position that these head coaches got to get in. How do I manage my roster to get through a season? I think the best way we see that is how Sam Shade runs his camp. Because Sam Shade is one of the few coaches who would be really open and honest about what that does to a season, how you get hurt in those games. He talks about it all the time. And so I think they have to learn how to manage their rosters. Why am I putting more on a coach that may not have everything that he needs, don't have a number of scholarships, he's already behind the curveball? Why would I then throw him under the bus for $35,000? Not happening. Not happening. Not happening. I'm not putting my team in a position that I can't make their life better. If I'm gonna go play an FCS team, I'm gonna make sure that my players can see why they're playing. If we go pay and we get a payout, they need to see how it benefits the program. There should be some benefits from going to play these games. If not, play somebody that got the kind of resources that you have. What is the Turkey Day Classic payout? Is it reasonable for Ski to go to year in and year out? In my opinion, hell no. I am not a proponent of the Turkey Day Classic, and maybe I need to do a show about that. Let me show something. One of the reasons why I'm not, anybody at Tuskegee knows this play. This 2008 game, right? It snapped the Tuskegee 27-game win streak. The guy was clearly in. The referees got fired. The president made sure that they could no longer referee in collegiate football at all. So when it comes down to Turkey Day Classic, we've left a couple of times. I don't think a lot of people know this. We were not Alabama State's original opponent in the Turkey Day Classic because we had a Turkey Day Classic with Talladega College. So when people get to talking about history, I think people conflate histories and tradition. We were not their original opponent. I think for me, people forget what the Turkey Day Classic had turned into. 2012, we go in, we beat Bama State. They knew their new stadium. That was big. But prior to that, Turkey Day Classic had already started losing some of its, drawing power. The old Tuskegee Vanguard, and this is why I tell the new Tuskegee people, you got to get involved. You got to get on them alumni chats. You got to start emailing the AD. You got to start emailing the president. You got to start letting them folks know, hey, this is not what we like. When Tuskegee decided to go into the Labor Day Classic with Bama State, the numbers of the Labor Day Classic were twice as good as the numbers of the Turkey Day Classic. The 3 years we played in it, we won 2, lost 1. Okay, we went 2-1 in that series. But what it did for that game is it allowed the students to be involved in that rivalry. The Turkey Day Classic was more like an old family tradition. When we start talking about bringing our institution into the new age, right? We start talking about bringing our institutions into the new space. We got to start evaluating the context of everything that we do. People don't even travel for Thanksgivings like that anymore. We got a term now called Friendsgiving. I hadn't spent a Thanksgiving with my family, I don't know, in maybe the last 3 or 4 years. I go to Friendsgivings. Okay. I go where I want to go on Thanksgiving. How we move differently. Tuskegee is not a gathering place for families anymore. Families don't come home to Tuskegee anymore because those people have died out. People have moved to other places. The migration of Black people is different. So this game does not have the drawing power that it has. And if you look at the stands from this past Turkey Day Classic, you will see that Tuskegee people have checked out of this game. The Turkey Day Classic revived that. The Labor Day Classic revived that game. It gave an opportunity for the students to be a part. Now, here's what I say. John C. Smith surprised me with the crowd that they came. It was cool. But on national TV, I think that Red Tails Classic should be a combination of the Labor Day Classic and the Red Tails Classic, and it should feature Tuskegee and Alabama State. I'm not going off and say that we should take Alabama State off the schedule completely because that is a rivalry game people look for. But it's either they come to the Red Tails Classic or forget about it. because the pennies that they throw is not worth it. And we've seen us not have to play it. What ended up happening, how we got back into the Turkey Day Classic, which irritates my soul. We had a AD when Coach Slater became the AD at Tuskegee. He was not a quality AD. Okay, let's just be for real. Like, Coach Slater he's a nice guy. I mean, we can't take away what he did with the program, but trying to talk to that guy is like pulling teeth. He was not going to be AD. He could not articulate what we needed. He could not articulate how a vision to move the university forward. So then Ruffin comes in. Ruffin is okay because Ruffin had Miles in the Turkey Day Classic. So the older alone, like, yeah, we need to get back into the Turkey Day Classic. That was our biggest recruitment tool. That was our biggest. This is not 1970s. Ask how many of the players, the freshman players that we recruit. First, I want to recruit in the same area we used to recruit in. We got guys from everywhere on that roster because we have to reach out further than we used to have to go get talent. So now I feel like we have to approach it a little bit different. It needs to be approached from a different aspect. And if I was Tuskegee, when this contract is up, we should never sign. I think it goes through 2027. We need to tear that contract up and go away. If I had my way, whatever the price is to get out of the contract, I would do it. A lot of people would say, oh, you're just saying that because Tuskegee is losing now. Go back and check my record. Go back and check my Twitter. I was saying that before we even got back in it. When it first came out that we were going back, I didn't care whether we could win the next 10. I wouldn't care. I would not care. It is a hindrance. If we're going to go Division I, let's go. Let's go. If Tuskegee wants to play FCS, let's go. Let's go FCS. I'm all for it. I think we should have left when A&M left, in my opinion. The folks will say, oh, well, you know, we got to get this up. We got to get the stadium. If Mercyhurst can go FCS with a stadium that can seat, that's one-sided, it can seat 1,100 people with 1,000 students, I know we can go. So everything we've heard about going FCS is a lie. You've only heard it from people who, and that's why I'm working on getting the Mercyhurst AD on the show. Because sometimes we need to talk to people who've done it, not people who haven't done it. Every time somebody talk about going FCS, they're like, oh, well, look at Savannah State. Tuskegee and Savannah State are not the same. We are not the same. Savannah State got hung out there in no man's land. But Savannah State's problem is not Tuskegee's problem. If Mississippi Valley can make it, my God, anybody can make it. You got to have competent leadership. I do think the new president, you know, I feel like new president got it. I feel like he understands it. I feel like he's going, you know, he's into sports. So that's a good thing. We finally got a president that, you know, because he is an alum, so he wants to see the best for Tuskegee. So, but you got to stay on it. You got to email your thoughts. Something you don't like, tell them. They probably get tired of me emailing. They probably get tired of me talking about it. If it's trash, it's just trash. But that payout is not worth it for the Turkey Day Classic. I get out of it. I would get out of it tomorrow. If I could pay it off today, if I had the money, I'd just go down there and say, look, what's the payout? Here it is. Get us out of that. But look, guys, I hate Jacary could not get on tonight. We'll work on trying to get him on again. I would have loved to talk to him, but we'll get him on at some time in the show. But look, I appreciate y'all coming on. We almost went 2 hours tonight. This is something I don't plan on doing 2 hours like that. But I appreciate y'all sticking it out. We're going to keep growing, and I'm going to keep getting better at this thing, you know, some kind of way. I appreciate Scotty for the opportunity to do this, getting this show. Like I said, we've talked about this a long time. Really not my thing. I'm really, you know, I like little Twitter spaces, but it is what it is. But we're going to keep doing it till I somehow figure it out and get it right. Appreciate y'all. See y'all next week. Same time, Same show on the rebuttal.